Two basketball greats speak, and the whole sports world stops to listen. That's exactly what happened when Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, two of the NBA's greatest players and bitterest rivals, banded together to make a statement. It could irrevocably change how we view women's basketball and its biggest star, Caitlin Clark. Their words weren't just shaky. They shocked not just the basketball community but the entire sports world. But what could unite these two great adversaries for such a public recognition? What did they notice during Clark's game that prompted them to break their usual silence and make such a big announcement? Their remarks have far-reaching implications that could alter basketball's overall trajectory in addition to their personal praise. Larry Bird and Michael Jordan represent two different eras of basketball greatness. In the 1980s and early 1990s, this intense rivalry shaped the NBA. Bird plays forward for the Boston Celtics. Won 3 NBA titles and 3 consecutive MVP awards for his exceptional shooting ability and basketball acumen. Throughout his career, he averaged 24.3 points, 10.0 and 0 rebounds, and 6.3 assists a game between 1984 and 1986. Over the course of 13 seasons, Jordan averaged 37.6% from three-point range and 49.6% from the field. Known as the greatest basketball player of all time, he dominated the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s, winning 6 NBA titles and 5 MVP awards. 5 and 31. 6. 22 rebounds are his career averages. With 3 assists per game and a 49.7% field goal percentage, he emerged as the most prolific scorer. During their overlapping careers, Bird and Jordan's intense rivalry generated multiple NBA titles. Of the most famous instances in basketball history, they appreciate one another despite their fierce competitiveness on the court. Competition has been well documented over the years. Even after they quit playing, each player continued to have a big influence on basketball and consistently supported one another's endeavors. In conclusion, it is unknown under what conditions these two legends might unite to make a joint statement regarding a contemporary athlete, particularly one from the women's division, the rise of basketball star Caitlin Clark. She originally became well known while she was a student at the University of Iowa, where she broke several NCAA records and became the most famous player in women's collegiate basketball history. She was likened to some of the greatest shooters in history, such as Jordan and Bird, in terms of her scoring ability, basketball IQ, and range. In her last season at Iowa, Clark led the Hawkeyes to 2 consecutive Final Four visits while averaging 3-1, 67, 44 rebounds, and 8.9 assists per game. She was the most sought-after Wnba draft candidate because of her ability to score from anywhere on the court, as well as her leadership qualities and passing vision. Clark's impact on women's basketball viewing in the recent past was unmatched. Millions of people regularly watched Iowa games on television during her tenure in college, and her Final Four games were some of the most viewed women's basketball games ever. Her influence extended beyond basketball to encompass social media followings, apparel sales, and cultural impact. After moving to the WNBA to play professional basketball, Clark continued to set more records during her debut season with the Indiana Fever. Being the first rookie to record a triple-double and establishing 3-point and assist records for the league with her arrival, the Fever transformed from one of the poorest teams in the league to a contender for the playoffs. The impact of Clark's business resulted in previously unheard-of levels of attendance and broadcast viewing. Events frequently fill venues that struggle to draw audiences, and Indiana Fever season ticket sales have climbed by more than 400%, making my professional career absolutely amazing. Her influence on WNBA TV ratings has increased the number of people who watch women's professional basketball and created opportunities for increased media coverage and funding. With more acknowledgement and support from past male players for women's professional basketball, the connection between NBA veterans and current WNBA players has drastically evolved over time. Bird's commitment with Indiana basketball throughout his playing career, the improved quality of WNBA play, and the growing acceptance of women's sports as legitimate forms of entertainment are all demonstrated by this development. The Pacers and his role as team president cultivate a strong bond with the basketball community in which Clark currently plays professionally. His understanding of Indiana basketball culture and fan expectations gives him a unique perspective on Clark's impact and future prospects, Jordan's business endeavors, and his ownership of the Charlotte Hornets and interest in basketball at other levels give him insight into the commercial and competitive aspects of professional basketball. His experience building basketballs. His understanding of market dynamics, branding, impact, and possibilities makes his ideas particularly useful when evaluating players. The basketball community typically responds to statements made by legends like Bird and Jordan with extensive media coverage and discussion among players, fans, and analysts. Their opinions are important enough to go beyond simple criticism and potentially influence how other basketball players view and evaluate the current players. This raises the question of what specific aspects of Clark's game and influence may have sufficiently impressed Jordan and Bird to prompt public comments. The implications could suggest that, in addition to her statistical achievements, she has a cultural and commercial influence on basketball. Impact that appeals to athletes who see the broader significance of athletic achievement. Clark's technical basketball skills include competitive shooting range and accuracy. The ability to make shots from some of the greatest basketball players in history, both male and female. Defenses have strategic challenges and offensive opportunities well beyond the traditional three-point line. Chances for her colleagues. Her passing abilities and court vision serve as examples of basketball IQ that allows her to predict moves and make decisions that maximize the effectiveness of her squad. This combination of individual scoring ability and team-oriented playmaking is a perfect example of the kind of all-around basketball skills that both Bird and Jordan possessed during their careers. The degree of competition and Clark's capacity for leadership under pressure mirror the mental tenacity and clutch play that define both Jordan's and Bird's careers. Her ability to perform at her best in the most important games demonstrates the kind of championship mentality that legendary athletes are valued and recognized for. Basketball players with Clark's skill set now have more opportunities to impact games in ways that weren't previously possible due to changes in basketball strategy and playing style. The increased emphasis on three-point shooting and game speed, which was valued in the past, perfectly complements her playing style and natural abilities. Concerns have been raised about whether Bird and Jordan's recognition will encourage other well-known basketball players to publicly support women's basketball and whether their comments will increase funding and interest from the broader basketball community. The impact of having on business. NBA stars publicly endorsing a WNBA player might have an impact that goes beyond mere recognition. Possibilities for league-wide marketing, media attention, and sponsor engagement. Crossover's appeal was created by. These sponsorships have the potential to increase women's basketball's viewership and financial success. The historical significance of the rivalry between Bird and Jordan enhances any conversation. Together, they might say something. Their mutual admiration shows qualities that transcend team allegiances or individual playing styles, the media environment relevant to basketball, given their agreement on basketball-related topics of two different basketball ideologies and tactics. Women's basketball has seen tremendous change in recent years. Increased coverage and analysis that creates forums for intelligent discussion about players' achievements and potential to NBA legends' involvement in these conversations elevates the discourse and gives women's basketball credibility as a premier sport. Beyond that, Clark's basketball career has had a cultural impact. Discussions regarding the value of women's sports, athletic opportunity, and gender equality should be incorporated into athletics. Legendary male basketball players' recognition in the community contributes to and facilitates these broader conversations. Demonstrate that women's basketball should be treated with the same dignity and respect as men's sports and the development of youth basketball. Players frequently study and mimic the techniques and tactics of well-known players. Several facets of Clark's game reflect the influence of Bird and Jordan, suggesting that the present generation of female basketball players has profited from and built upon past advancements in the sport. The international basketball community has recognized Clark's impact and achievements for many years. Players and coaches from all over the world have recognized her contributions to the sport's global development. This global perspective further enhances the recognition from domestic basketball. Myths. Social media has created new opportunities for athlete recognition and cross-promotion. When Jordan and Bird were athletes, there was no such thing as immediate internet connections with millions of fans.